This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
What does playing to win look like? We're going to take the swing. We're going to try and see what could great be like, building the right relationships, building the right vision, aligning with the right brands and the right bets that we're going to take. Sometimes it might not work out, and that's okay too. You know, we're going to keep building this company into what I really believe it can be.
I have a question that I've loved forever about our business, but I've never asked it on the podcast. I think this is the place to do it. I've been saving it. And I remember thinking about when I used to run an agency and the people that my creatives, and I would say, would you rather take a brand that no one's ever heard of before and put them on the map? Or would you rather take a brand that everybody knows and so that's staying in their brain and make people think about them just a little bit differently? What's your answer?
My answer is yes. I'm a total marketing geek, and I love the challenge of both. I've created and launched new brands like Bubbly Sparkling Water and Life Water and Stubborn Soda, and just coming up with, like, I love the challenge of getting people to embrace and adopt something new, something they don't know about, how to talk in the right way about something. And then I also, what I've very much enjoyed over my career is reimagining legacy brands and figuring out how to modernize and make them relevant to today and a new consumer, whether it's with big brands like Pepsi or what we're doing right now over at Kraft Heinz, which is, that's really the name of the game. These are brands that have been around, many of which for 150 years, some that, still hyper relevant in today's culture, just with a little bit of, a new lens, a new way of kind of connecting to consumers, doing so in a modern way and culturally relevant. Like that's to me the exciting part of marketing. It's this idea of brand building and creating that emotional connection beyond the scope of the product that really connects to people. That's what I love.
One of the things I love about our guest is, and let's call it what it is. I mean, you've been there 9 months-ish, 10 months-ish.
10 now, yeah.
Right. So, you're living your life and I'm living mine. And before we had connected and interacted for the first time, you could not run into your name. I could not run into Todd Kaplan from your Pepsi days. But and by the way, I don't know if this makes you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. It is the Courageous Podcast. But right, here we go. When people talk about you, like visionary marketing leader, you should see the face, folks. You should see the face. But when you don't meet somebody, right? That's you have this idea of what somebody may or may not be like. And then someone's like, no, you need to meet Todd immediately. And then we have other friends in common. And it's like, you're not Todd Kaplan, you're Todd. And yes, you're a real human. You're a real dude. By the way, from a vision, if you're not watching this episode, you have to understand he's in the Kaplan cave right now. Can you explain what's behind you just for people that are not?
So I'm in my home office right now here in New York. And so this is the only room in my house I get to keep all my stuff basically. And I've accumulated, as anyone in marketing knows, you get all sorts of tchotchkes and knickknacks and things over the years that, I just have a lot of stuff on the shelves behind me, from products that we've launched, from fun little reminders, photos, memorabilia, just all sorts of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So, but to your push, at the end of the day, one thing is you get to know me, I'm always authentically me, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm with. I'm the same at home as I am in the office. Now, there's a lot of liability with that too. I drop too many F-bombs in the office. I'm nonstop at home. I'm the best and worst of both worlds, but what you see is what you get. And that's where a lot of people, as you get to know me, I'm not Todd Kaplan. I'm TK. I'm TCap. I'm Cappy. I'm whatever that, I'm just easy. People just, I'm very informal is how I prefer to do a lot of business. And I like the messiness of marketing and chatting things over with people as an extrovert, handling things over text, over just going more real time, versus the kind of formality that I think, some others may have and stuff. So it's just my own style.
For me as an outsider, like I don't, it's like I don't work for you, right? Like it's like I've got so it's very like you're so disarming from my perspective. What do you think like when people run into you and you did 2 decades at Pepsi, so you know where this is going at some point. Like I'm very curious why the leap when you leaped, and some of it's kind of maybe a little Captain Obvious, but also if you're working with new people, it's like almost like a new language after 20 years in an organization. Is that how you see it too?
Totally. Well, listen, I think I'm somebody who always wants to be challenged and wants to try something new and exciting and different. And to me, like I said, marketing is fun as much as it's my job. And I love kind of the strategic challenge, the creative challenge, the personal challenge, like all the different things that come with it. And so it was at a time, at PepsiCo where I had kind of rounded all the bases, done all the things I had wanted to do. And, I'd just gotten off of relaunching the new Pepsi visual identity and logo, and that was rolling out. And I was kind of just trying to figure out what was going to be next. I said, you know what? I think I'm ready for my next rotation because they do this wonderful rotation program where you learn and grow and try things all over the company, which kept me there so long. I felt like I got a new job every 2.5 years or so or whatever, just trying this, trying that. But it was not a point like, I think I want my next rotation to be somewhere else and try something new. And so, when this role at Kraft Heinz came about, I thought it was really, really interesting because I'm looking at this wonderful portfolio of 70 brands across 50 categories where we have 96% household penetration, which means every human being has some of these products within an arm's reach, multiple ones. And so it's not about awareness. It's not about distribution. It's about driving that connection and that emotional vibe of marketing that was what when marketing works well. And so a lot of these brands and categories are in need of, whether it's product renovation, brand renovation, reimagination, creative execution. There's so many different things that fall into it that is just I thought it was a really fun and challenging brief. And as someone who's very entrepreneurial and likes to build, and talking with the leadership, it just seemed like a great fit. And I've really been enjoying it. I'm coming in and doing just that since we've started.
Now, I feel like I have to put a bow on the Kaplan cave here because I want to paint a picture for folks. All right, before we move on, and look, I think we're going to talk about what your last 10 months have been like and the impact you've already had on those brands. But so behind Todd, like imagine like that Brady Bunch. Okay, no, there's more. My goodness. So what I had seen was the Brady Bunch, the tic tac toe Brady Bunch board. Okay, that's what's behind him, and it's just full of stuff. You've got helmets and footballs that are signed. Those feel like Pepsi days. I think there's a lot of Lakers stuff going on. So
A lot of Lakers. I'm a West Coaster. You see got my sweatshirt. Yeah, I'm like a super from Cali, SoCal, born and raised. So big Lakers fan. Obviously, very sad about how the playoffs ended this year, but it's all good.
Luka will get it figured out. He'll get in shape and he'll figure it out.
Yeah. But every one of these things behind me, and that's the thing too that's so powerful about marketing. Like I can bore you with a story about every single one of these things here that you can and can't see. I mean, there's so many little, these books, these things. Like there's a lot of fun to talk about. So, but
all right, pick up something. Give us something. Whatever comes out, like whatever's close. This is like story time with Todd Kaplan.
This was the mustard from when we just did our partnership with DJ Mustard earlier in the year, mustard, when we did that whole thing. This was the beauty that we used when we shot that as like a splinged out mustard bottle.
All right, well, hold on. Let me give a little bit more color there before we just roll off that. So, like, you're talking about a Grammy-winning producer co-creating a limited time edition mustard flavor. By the way, this was only launched just during the 2025 Grammy Awards, so it wasn't a small stage. So this is a great place to start. So you got these two legends coming together, right? Talk to me about who came up with it. Was it internal? Was it external? Was it here's this moment in culture? And I can't help myself, Todd, but because I know Carlos, I know this your CEO, and he always innovation at the speed of culture. I can hear him. He can't help. I hear his accent. Innovation at the speed of culture. That's what this felt like to me. Do you see it that way too?
Yeah, no, a lot of the best ideas, and we can go through a bunch of examples. They're quick, they're opportunistic, they're iterative, and they're not like starting from a formal brief, an A to Z coming back with 5 ideas, you picking one and going and then working back of it. Like, that's not what this was. This was clearly, I'm a big hip hop fan too. And obviously there's others at Kraft Heinz, that have been very connected in this space as well, that Kendrick and Drake and all the beef and the things going on, and They Not Like Us comes out, and all of us, and Mustard's like, again, and Mustard's been in the game for a while. Anyone who knows hip hop knows he's been just a great producer doing his thing. And then with this latest Kendrick thing, it just went to the next level with, Mustard on the beat, the whole thing. And then when Turn the TV Off came out, and there was that, iconic line when Kendrick just decided to yell "Mustard," and meme culture just started having a day with it. I was just, we're having a lot of discussions. We're just like, dude, like we gotta do something. Now, the good news is before that happened, even back to when They Not Like Us and even earlier, we'd already been having some discussions with Mustard at that time. And so he, actually was already a very big fan of Heinz. I don't know if you know his whole backstory. His real name is Dijon, which is why he's Mustard. I mean, makes sense. And he had already made his own like blinged out Heinz like chain that was all made of like yellow diamonds, and it had all these kind of things, and was already like interested in the space. I think he has a Grey Poupon grill that he can play. Like he's got just a lot of things that are just in his either. And so at the end of the day, we'd been talking to him about, hey, we should do something together, whatever. And then so when this came out, the discussions, really progressed pretty quickly as we started to say, well, we got to do something. Well, what do we want to do? What's the plan? I said, and so we got all the right stakeholders together between the Heinz brand team and Danielle Speichner and Dom, who are on our inclusive marketing team, who are amazing, and other stakeholders externally from Cashmere and other folks, as we just started kind of chatting through it all. And we're just like, there's something here. We gotta go. We gotta figure this out quickly. And so we worked very quickly to come up with this concept of, well, we should come up with a joint limited time offer of Mustard that he could make. Cause he also is very into culinary, is what he shared with us. He likes to cook. He likes to do rubs on his steaks and ribs and stuff. And just, he's like into that stuff actually. And so we said, cool, let's sign a deal. Let's figure out what a deal would be. Let's figure out how we can get obviously with the song. And so we worked very closely in real time with The Kitchen, which is our in-house creative agency, who also works very quickly and scrappily at the speed of culture. And so we banged out this, kind of hacked one of our own spots by creating this thing that started as Heinz ketchup pouring and then just went like Mustard, and very scrappy, built that thing in a couple weeks, candidly, just turning it around, saying, let's drop this on the Grammys. We think, and having seen kind of how the Grammy to Super Bowl thing goes before, and knowing Kendrick was at the halftime show, and not knowing if They Not Like Us and, Turn the TV Off were going to be in the halftime show or anything at that point, but just knowing like, well, clearly it's going to be a relevant thing, just given the power that Kendrick has and where that's going. And Grammys, everyone expects he's going to win all these Grammys. So that would be a good time to drop it. If we're going to do it, like, why don't we just do that? And so we timed it perfectly with our media team, who was amazing, where we dropped the spot right between when Kendrick and Mustard were winning all their awards, and the thing just went viral. And then that week leading up to Super Bowl, and then he came out at the halftime show, and we did a whole takeover on X with 57 different hashtags of the spelling of mustard, of, how many A's do you have in your mustard? We had so much fun with it, the whole team. And it was one of those kind of quick sprints that you're all just jamming on together, and you forget you're even doing marketing. You're just having fun and figuring it out and partnering with him. And it was great. And and we're actually coming out, with the Mustard now is going to be coming out in the coming weeks. So we'll have more to share soon, as obviously that starts to roll out. It's super exciting. So we'll have some more beats with him coming up.
Yeah, I love that. I think his cousin called him Mustard right first, and then I think I read somewhere he was like, I thought I would have worked with Heinz much sooner. It's like he's very happy that this kind of came around. And I think it's, what is it, mustardxmustard.com. There's other stuff being dropped there, but that little moment when business flips to fun, and in our world, we always say we're corporate fear fighters. Like, what is the largest fear that you need to sort of go after? And when you're in flow state, it just becomes a fun thing. Have you felt in the last year again, I mean, I'm sure the kitchen is both thrilled and frustrated and exhausted by you, but like when it gets to fun, right? Like when it gets to fun, like when it's finally fun, we're not thinking about the chaos of, is that how you see it too?
Yeah, well, that's how I I don't view marketing as a job. I view it as just something I enjoy at the end of the day. Now, there are times where I absolutely can't stand it, where there's a lot of like, there's bureaucracy and layers and business and all that, just a lot of things that come up as you go through it. But the the strategic challenge, the creative challenge, the game that is marketing, that is ever changing, by the way, as the world turns and digital and media channels and consumers evolve and all the things, that to me is a very interesting and fun, ongoing, real-time brief. And so as we do that, having partners who also appreciate that and want to put a dent in the world or do something impactful or make something like amazing, that's the kind of people who, you gravitate towards and who gravitate towards it as well, right? At the end of the day, I don't know that anybody said, I want to go into marketing for the money. I want to go into marketing for the, whatever. And listen, it's obviously a great living and it's wonderful, and all that. But it's one of those things that people who self-select into this industry are typically looking to drive an impact and move consumer behavior, to drive a cultural impact, to launch something, to challenge themselves creatively, strategically, whatever it is. And so making sure as you're in the job, you're not losing sight of why you even decided this career path in the first point. And so being able to find ways to bring brands into culture and connect them, for me, I'm a huge culture junkie and sports and music and entertainment and all that. I love all that stuff, but also just you need to be authentic to the brands and how you can play up with some of those things and how you can find the right connection points, more importantly, in the human psyche of connecting to what's going to make somebody connect more deeply with one brand than another, when a lot of times the products and attributes are so nuanced, and that's, I think, what's so fascinating about marketing as a discipline is there's such a discrepancy as you look at your, top priced vodka to your lowest priced vodka and what they cost. And if you did a blind taste test, I don't know that consumers would be able to tell you quite the difference, right? And so that's just one example, but like that's the power of brand building when it's done right.
I think about like great story, and it's like there's almost like the metric for me has always been above the neck and below the neck. Like if you're stuck above the neck, and again, sometimes the data creative that's driven by data is like, oh well, it all makes sense and it's smart. But below the neck is me feeling like I'm in a time machine at the independent Indianapolis Motor Speedway watching the Wienie 500, and like you can't even help not having a belly laugh at this moment, and the puns are just how many times around the track are the puns coming? Are you just relishing this moment? I mean, but that's what it's about. It's like it's a time machine. It takes me back to a moment. And this is something you guys just launched a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's one of these things, and it's really fun. And our Oscar Mayer team had such a blast pulling that together, working with the team at JL and everybody who was involved in pulling that off. It was a ton of fun, and this is one of those ideas that again organically built up. I've started these things, and I could talk to you a little bit further about this later about this idea of collaborativity. And we have these. It's a word I coined when I was at PepsiCo and started building when we did some really, impactful work around this idea of better with Pepsi back and started really this idea. And the core concept is to disarm in all the different dynamics that come and impede the creative process, whether it's level and title, whether it's agency and client, what you're buying, selling, budget, brief, strategy, all the stuff, and just say, hey, listen, we all are working in, conjunction in support of this business. We're all co-conspirators is kind of the concept. And let's have kind of a joint organized, collaborative brainstorming session to kind of build ideas based on a brand brief, based on some strategic guardrails and objectives. So it's really working to achieve something for the brand. And so in one of the first collaborativity sessions we did here at Kraft Heinz was around Oscar Mayer. And it's these ideas of you have all these short, quick hitting, one-page ideas. Boom. What if we did this? It's based on this truth. What if we did this? It's based on this. And so, and in that first session, the idea came up for this Wienie 500, which was saying, hey, Memorial Day weekend is the kickoff to summer, and summer is the most salient occasion for hot dogs, and we want to tell a story. And we know there's other hot dog companies out there that do things on July 4th and do all these other things. Like, is there a world we could own this event that's also the same weekend as the Indy 500? We have this amazing fleet of 6 Wienermobiles. What if we race them? We create the Wienie 500. And instead of everyone being like, good luck with that, or like, everyone's like, oh my God. And then it starts building and building. And then to me, that's then where you get, okay, we have a nugget of an idea. Now let's take it into execution mode. And that's where, folks like Kelsey Rice, who led this on the Oscar Mayer team, who just really championed the crap out of this across the board. So many different stakeholders, how you partner with the track, how you bring the right media along to elevate it, how there was a DraftKings partnership that I mean, every little element was really done up all the way to the Wienermobile drivers. They're called hot doggers, and they travel the country in these hot dogs, as you've seen inside the road, have this huge nostalgia with people that really connect and taking photos and all that. And what came up with this event as they briefed, even the Fox people leaned in, like you said, started saying all the puns, which are this infectious part of how the hot doggers just approach their daily job. And they said, that's so wonderful how you're doing that. And that's, and they have all these like fun, silly hot dog puns. And the absurdity, that was kind of some of the creative pushes we had as we were going through the process with the team, is just saying, if you're going to do this, like, commit and go deep. And so, nothing made me prouder than seeing, instead of the Star Spangled Banner, I don't know if you saw the beginning, there was a singer that said, everybody put your hand over your belly instead of your hand over your heart. And then he just started singing, if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, just like, and the whole stadium was just like, what is happening? But that's what you got to do. And it created a bit of a movement, which was a lot of fun.
But that moment was the time machine for me, because we all know that song. That took me back to like little Ryan Berman version of myself. And look, let's call it what it is. It's a heavy time right now. I would say we're in a worry war for a lot of people. I'd say it's
totally.
Worry War 2 actually is what I've been calling it. Worry War 1 was the pandemic, and Worry War 2 is pandemonium. And we don't need to delve deeper into that. But so for like this moment where the Wienie 500 comes around and everyone's singing the song, you kind of go back to this nostalgic time. And it makes me wonder, like, when you talk about your skill set, okay, now I'm laughing because I was thinking about 0 to 60 in 25 seconds. I think my favorite line, and I definitely want my picture with the slaw dog. But when you think about your role here, right, at the company, and you said you like taking heritage brand, legacy brands, but what's the difference between a legacy brand and iconic brand, but someone that's been able to take that legacy and move it forward?
To me, it's interesting. When you think of the word legacy, it's a really interesting word, because you also want to say, like, what's my legacy? What am I famous for? What is an athlete has a legacy, and what they changed the NBA, an athlete has so there's a two-sided coin to the word legacy. You're so famous for something that everybody knows what you are, and you've created this amazing legacy. Oscar Mayer, Heinz, being around for over 150, as you look at some of these brands, you're more than famous, you're infamous. Everyone knows your brand. It's like, it's part of culture. The issue is, if you become so famous from a certain era or moment in time, as time chugs along, you might become dated. And so you're so famous for one thing, how do you reinvent yourself for the new thing? And you see, actually, musicians try to do this in real time as they have the chapters. If you go through Madonna's career, or you go through Lady Gaga, you go, this person, now I'm trying this, now I'm trying that. Beyonce is now a country singer. I mean, like, that's, I'm just, at the end of the day, this constant reinvention is sometimes, the music thing, it's a bit exhausting, to be clear, but like for brands, it's not saying you have to constantly reinvent yourself, but there are moments in time where you need to be self-aware enough to know when, even if you still stand for the core values and the core proposition that you did, how it manifests, how you tell that story, how it looks, needs to kind of be updated to kind of hit differently with the new generation who might not have seen it. So to your point, Ryan, you are familiar with the Oscar Mayer song that instantly called you back to your childhood. Maybe you had an interaction when you were 8 years old and, at the corner store, whatever, I don't know where or how. There's some 18-year-old kid who's like, what the hell is this? This is so cool. That's like some weird hot dogs running around it. Like, so you're starting from a different starting point. And how do you take those equities and really unpack what are the core values of a brand driving it, whether it's from everything all the way from Pepsi all the way to all of our current Kraft Heinz portfolio, brands from Philadelphia cream cheese to Lunchables to Jet Puff marshmallows, A1 steaks. I mean, you go so the big, far and wide brands here in this portfolio are so amazing. Capri Sun, there's so much rich storytelling to do that I think it's just a really fun challenge to really understand what's the essence of a brand, how should or shouldn't it evolve into new spaces moving forward, and I think that's part of the challenge and the exciting thing.
I mean, I'm overwhelmed thinking about what life must be like because there's, in some ways, you're putting down a new rule book. There was a rule book before. Which of those rules you want to honor the culture, you want to honor the players, but you also have, I mean, you kind of speak a different language. Like you're a foreigner coming into this new, let's call it Kraft Heinz is a nation. There's a flag. There are citizens, right? And they speak one language, and you spoke this other language. You've got your passport. You show up to become one of them, but also to add your own 2 cents to that. So but I guess when you get some of these wins, like the Wienie 500, like mustard, we haven't talked about Kraft mac and cheese and the necklace, Mother's Day necklace. Google it, folks. He's got that right behind him too, right? But keeping it affordable, it's got to be affordable for people, right? Do you find as the leadership team has started to like understand you, because you can talk it all day, but you've showed it now a few times. Are they seeing what's like there's new rules to be established?
I think so. I certainly hope so. I'll tell you that much. Listen, no, to your point, I fully recognize that I'm a lot. I'm a big bundle of energy. I don't shut up. I don't turn off my brain. I'm constantly going. I'm an extrovert first, so I speak to think. I get my energy throughout the day. So it's just like, let's go, 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 go. So dropping into a new place like Kraft Heinz that's gone through a bunch of change over the years, seen a lot of different, leaders, transitions, post-merger, this, that, like just a lot of things over the years. I think it's the right time because, they've been on this really wonderful creative journey over the last few years that Miguel Patricio and Diana Frost and Nina Patel and a lot of people have really invested in the Heinz brand and Matthew Bull and on how we bring that brand into new ways. And the folks at Rethink have been phenomenal partners and a lot of other agencies on how we just creatively storytell differently. You've seen that in some of the amazing work on Heinz over the last couple of years that has won a bunch of Cannes Lions, and you've seen all of that. And as you look at that, for me coming in and seeing kind of like, okay, they understand the value of creativity here. They know how to do it. Now, maybe at scale across all brands, across all functions, across all like that's a new get that we have to figure out. And then, okay, as we need to build the capability and teach this craft of what we're trying to do, we need to break down some of the silos that might get in the way of some of those things and strategically pick our bets. One of the biggest learning curves for me has been this is a deep and wide, portfolio company here, even as big as PepsiCo is, which is a massive business and company. It's beverages and it's snacks, right? This is like, I remember when I did my first market, we used to do market tours at PepsiCo where you go into a retail environment and for beverage, you'd walk the perimeter of the store, then you'd walk the beverage aisle, then you'd see the check lane coolers, then you would leave. And you go to the next store and then First store visit at Kraft Heinz took like 4.5 hours. It's like every single aisle you're checking. I mean, and you have like the number 1 or 2 product in every single category you're playing in, and that even our small brands are massive, massive, impactful businesses. And so being able to learn the business has been one of the main areas I've been focusing, trying to also pace myself with the team and build the right capability has been a really big focus, figuring out how to collaborate with the different business units, with the different players, with all that, bring everybody together to understand and see the same vision of what we can do with this company. It's funny. I remember when I was interviewing, talking with Pedro Navio, who's the head of North America, who's just awesome, awesome guy. And he was telling me, he's like, the company's been through a lot, but he's in love with the company we want to be. Because I think about that dream and that vision of where we can go and what this company can be with these amazing brands, with these wonderful categories, with the amazing talent we have. It's amazing to think about that. And so that to me is like my North Star of trying to figure out how do we turn the lights on and energize and invigorate these brands, this business, and most importantly, the people who work there to really feel empowered to they hold this power in their hands. They just need to really, you know, sharpen the craft on certain things, connect the dots here, push a little bit more there, but we're just getting started, which is really exciting, and we're gonna do it.
The brand collab with Nike. Obviously, we
Oh, the
got to
John
talk.
Morant. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so how did this come to be?
I mean, a lot of these also, you talk about the power of these brands just organically, John Morant, who, Memphis Grizzlies superstar, huge NBA talent. He grew up at his grandma's house having Kool-Aid and just loved Kool-Aid, had fun memories. And, sneaker culture, there's always the fun quirk behind the story of the shoe. You got the chunky donkeys, you get all these kind of little brand collabs that are out there. The concept kind of came about, from Nike actually, and from Jaws team, candidly reached out saying, "Hey, there's a thing here. Should we talk?" And so as soon as the team got outreached, I'm like, "Yeah, we got to hop on this and like do this proper if we're going to do this well. And let's see what they want to do. Let's see and so and the team, the Kool-Aid team did a phenomenal job in partnering with Nike to do it. And we came out with a limited edition Jaw 2s that are Kool-Aid ones. Jaw wore them in the NBA playoffs. There's a whole kit that comes out with them. I mean, they sold out in minutes on the Nike sneakers app. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, that's like a bucket list of launching a shoe with Nike. I mean, Jesus, that was awesome. A lot of fun.
I'm sure you figured out a way to be part of that meeting because as a shoe junkie,
100%, 100% did. Just early on wanted to make sure we were, steering it the right way, making sure we had the right people in the room, candidly, just to think through how to launch this in an impactful way on social, drive the right, all of it. And the team, like I said, did a bang up job on the whole thing. I just couldn't be happier with how that came about.
I'm gonna blow your word. What was the word again? Collabtivity. What was it?
Collaborativity.
Collaborativity. So I mean, this is collaborativity. Like this is it. It's also brands and like brands coming together for collabs. Isn't that part of it?
Totally. Well, and it's also one of those things that I want to, make sure that the team and here at Kraft Heinz and even within our agencies is like, at the end of the day, there's a bit of this misnomer in marketing that the only people who can come up with creative ideas are creative agencies. And the only people who can buy the creative ideas are clients. And the only people who can do the media are the media people. I'm like, we're all people. Like at the end of the day, these creative agencies who are widely talented, the only difference is they have people with different brains, different mindsets, different approaches to things. There's no, output other than the people's thinking. And so if you look at the diversity of the people that we make up within our brand teams, brought together with those creative agencies, brought together with those media partners, with those PR people, with, your R&D people, whoever, everyone is wired differently and they all love and care deeply about your brands. Wouldn't that be awesome if you could just focus all that energy on solving a single problem rather than just waiting for something? And so that's a little bit of the idea is how do you build yourself, with your partners. And so this, again, there was no agency working closely with that one, working just with the Nike team directly and our team on that one. Just like the thing we did with Orida around March Madness. I don't know if you know that whole thing we did with Richie Saunders. Like that came up so quickly, 72 hours, boom, boom, boom. And like just the team just jammed on it. And that's where the magic happens,
This might be the most courageous part of our chat. And I'm not ready to jump off Kool-Aid. I laughed my face off last night rewatching the studio with Ice Cube and Kool-Aid. And first of all, folks, if you haven't seen the studio, please, it's 25 minutes of laughter. And it's like if Curb Your Enthusiasm and Entourage had a baby, it's awkward and it's hilarious and it's worth the watch. And so I also think the parallels, and maybe this is where we'll kind of bring our show to a wrap here. We're kind of coming down the home stretch, but I do think the parallels to leadership here is critical. Like it's not perfect for everyone. And you said at the beginning, it's the messy part of marketing. And I feel I'm the same way. I know there's certain people that I rub the wrong way. But I deeply care. I deeply care and I don't care at the same time. And what I mean by that is I deeply care about the work. I do deeply care about people. I don't think when I say I don't care that I'm gonna like hurt people's feelings, but I honor that my values are very different than some people sometimes, and it's like it's not gonna mesh, and sometimes it's the way it is. But I have awareness of myself on where I'm not gonna change myself, and I think in high stress, when fear is winning, it's even harder when you don't know yourself, or you don't have awareness of yourself. And so these rooms that you're in right now, you're in the room where it happens. You're sitting with Nike on a brand collab, or you're like, this is risky, and you're spending shareholder dollars to try these messy as the Wiener 500 is going around a track, right? So if I'm another creative, whether I'm at a kitchen like, right, I'm in house or I'm at an agency,
Yep.
how do you help me stay true to who I am and fight all the fights I need to fight?
I think at the end of the day, it's hard in today's culture, especially in certain lines of business that are into, pleasing more than doing what is the right for the brand, or like certain agencies might have a client that says go left and they really want to go right, but they know they're going to get greenlit if they go left. And so they steer and they get pushed there. And so you want people not to fight with, you don't want to fight, to be clear, it's a very aggressive word, but you want some healthy tension is a good thing at the end of the day, because that's how ideas get better. And at the end of the day, the best thing for shareholder value is to do great ideas for your brands, do great things for your business, grow your business through disruptive thinking and pushing, just doing what you've always done sometimes isn't enough. I always talk about this thing. My dad used to tell me I was a big tennis player growing up. I still play kind of competitively and just love just playing tennis and all that kind of stuff. Even though I'm like very out of shape now and a separate thing. And I used to, and I see it now with my kids now who do a lot of tournaments and all that stuff too. Whenever I was in a match that was like a really tight one, and it was like you're in that like last set or you're in the game that's a very important game, I would clam up a little bit and I would just try not to miss and just get it back and just get it back and just get it back. And of course I would lose. And my dad used to say, play to win, don't play not to lose. It's something that always stuck with me. And it's something I've talked a lot about at Kraft Heinz, and a lot of other people have now also been talking about this idea of what does playing to win look like? And I'm somebody who am a very front foot. We're going to take the swing. We're going to try and see what could great be like, as opposed to just only play safe. Now, that doesn't mean be reckless, do crazy things, just go out and just start going like, and not everybody's there, given, especially in a difficult business climate, especially in a different cultural climate, especially just given, the economic climate. There's all these factors coming in that, everyone's had different life experiences. Everyone's has different approaches on where we're going to go and where we're going to take these brands in this business. And so sometimes people might not be ready or comfortable pushing a certain way. Sometimes I'll push too hard and I'll have to come back and apologize. Sometimes I'll push and they'll say, thanks so much. And we needed that. And they realize. And so it's, you figure it out as you go. And it's the ebb and flow of the messiness of as you build it, as again, building the right relationships, building the right vision, aligning with the right brands and the right bets that we're going to take. Sometimes it might not work out, and that's okay too, but we're going to keep pushing and trying, moving it forward, all in the lens of building this company into what I really believe it can be.
Keep taking cuts, man. It's been so cool to like get to know the real Todd, and I'm looking forward to watching the fictitious trailer for a fictitious movie about Kool-Aid at some point. We don't have to go any deeper on that, but
Yeah, sure.
let me turn this to you. Again, it's called the Courageous Podcast. How would you
Yeah.
like to wrap?
I mean, really kind of wherever you want to go on it. I mean, listen, things are always fun getting and talking through with folks like you, right, on podcasts, because it's like you get to go deep and like I even shared with you when we first started, I'm like, what do you want to talk about today? Like, there's no script here. Like, I wasn't even really briefed on where we were going to go on any of this, but that's, I think, what's the fun is the people who click into this kind of format really want to learn more and go deeper and understand kind of the deep cuts and what's behind the scenes. And, what you'll know from me is like, what you see is what you get. I'm an open book on all this kind of stuff. Happy to kind of share any thoughts or other things that you think would be helpful for your listeners, man. But yeah, I'm just happy just to be here, and I'm excited, like I said, at what we're building at Kraft Heinz right now. I'm excited. I'm energized. I'm really looking forward to kind of what the next 2-3 years will look like as we start to build new innovation and as we come out with new products and campaigns, and we just look at a lot of these brands and where they could go. It's just a really exciting time.
Well, I can't wait to see what else is in the Kaplan cave behind you, what makes it onto the Brady Bunch board back there. We got lots of good stuff. Keep fighting the fear. Keep making fun, man. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.